Hey everybody, Cheryl here from Healthy Living Garden to Table, and I am super excited. It's fall. That means there's a ton of vegetables and fruits that we can bring from the garden right to the table. Today I'm going to be making butternut squash soup, and I'm so excited because it is soup season here in Michigan. It is getting really cold, and so soup is what's for dinner. So let's get started. So what I do is I take a butternut squash, and this is already pretty much peeled. I don't cut it up and roast it first. I peel it first, and it does need a little bit more peeling. If you can, I don't know if you can see, but there's some green here, green ribbing, and you want to make sure you get all of that off when you're peeling it, because it's part of like the rind. So you want to make sure all of that is gone as well. Pretty much cleaned up here. I didn't want to sit here and peel in front of you the whole time. All right, that looks good. The only thing left is the sides, and we're not going to use that anyway. Okay, so you're going to just, if you've never cut off a butternut squash, let me show you really quick. Have a really sharp knife because they are pretty tough to cut through when they're raw. So you're going to cut off the bottom and the part that has the stem on it. You're going to cut right here at the neck. And it does have seeds, almost like pumpkin seeds. I don't think that you'd want to roast them the way you do pumpkin seeds, but it does have seeds inside that you want to make sure that you flesh out. And then you are going to just cut this into little pieces, because when you cube them into small pieces, that roast faster. So that's how I cook mine. I don't boil it, I roast it. I like that depth of flavor. And so I cut it into small, try to get it as uniform as possible so they cook evenly. Just gonna throw that in a baking sheet. You can throw it in on a cookie sheet lined with parchment paper, and then you're just gonna cover it with olive oil, salt, and pepper. And I also, with mine, I also put in cinnamon and a little bit of pumpkin pie spice and bake that right in. Oh my gosh, it gives it such a great flavor instead of doing it afterwards. So then what you're going to do is you're going to take out the seeds. You're just going to scoop it like you would a pumpkin. And I'm not going to keep on doing this because I actually already cooked some and I want to show it to you. So you just scoop out the cavity and you're going to cut it. Again, you're going to make sure it's as even and uniform as possible, just so they all cook the same. And then what I put in mine, before I put it after I cook it for I actually cook it total time about an hour. So after about 45 minutes, I put an apple in it. So you're going to cut the apple. Again, you're going to make sure it's as uniform as possible, cutting out the core. I leave the peel on. I don't skin it. It's where the vitamins are too. So you just want to make sure you're dicing it. Now, I'm not going to cook this one. Actually, what I'm going to do now that all of this is cut up, because I've already have some for this recipe, I'm going to go ahead and put this in a zip top bag, and I'm going to freeze it. So it's, we're in the abundance of all this harvest coming in right now. So sometimes you want to kind of buy a lot because you're like, oh my gosh, these are great prices and it looks so good, and do it. I tend to buy a whole lot of vegetables this time of year. I peel it up, I cut it. My pumpkin, I'm going to do some pumpkin recipes soon. I bake those off, and then I puree them, and I put them in some zip top bags and stick them in the freezer. Then you have fresh fruits and vegetables all year long. Well, it may not fresh fruits, but you probably could do that. So let me set this aside and bring up my favorite appliance right now, which is my Vitamix. So I already cooked this up yesterday. So here it is roasted. It's your butternut squash and your apples, and I'm just going to put that in the Vitamix. And then I'm going to put in some chicken stock. Now, this is not, the reason I'm not measuring this is because every single butternut squash is going to be different sizes. Some of them are really big, some of them are small, so it's really going to depend. You just kind of have to bear with me on this, and it's going to be, you want to fill it up until basically this will turn and it'll start blending. Now this is going to be a little noisy. Sorry guys. Alright. Now it doesn't want to turn anymore. Oh, it still has enough liquid in it, looks like. Just need a little bit of help there. Okay, so it's still really, really thick, as you can tell, okay? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some coconut milk. This is what's going to make it nice and creamy. So what I do with, I have a can of just the Thai Kitchen coconut milk. You can use the light version or you can use the full fat, whichever one you want. And you're going to put in the Thai Kitchen coconut milk. Okay. And then you're going to blend it again. Okay, let me scrape that down a little bit. Doesn't look like it's got all the coconut in here. Okay, it looks amazing. All right. Okay. Now it does look a little, it looks really, really thick, so I'm going to add more yeah, this one's chicken stock. You can do any kind of stock you want. If you're vegan, go ahead and do, you know, vegetable stock. That's fine. So you just want to make it where it's a thick soup. You don't want it to be too runny. Obviously, it's not a broth soup, but you don't want it to be too thick either. So it's not pourable. That looks good. Okay. So then you're going to want to make sure you add some salt in it. When you're cooking anything, when you add salt, it actually brings up the level of flavor. So I'm going to do a teaspoon of salt. Probably about a half a teaspoon should be enough. Because I always like to err on the side of not seasoning heavily. And then if it needs a little bit more once it comes to the table, then everybody can season their own. Let's just do this on really light. I don't want to go too... Okay, that's it. So go ahead and I'm going to give this actually a quick taste. I'm going to use my spoon and see what this is like. That's really good. So what you want to do is you want to make sure I always say as you cook, you want to make sure you adjust the seasoning as you go. If it needs more salt, you're going to put more salt. If it needed more cinnamon, you can add more cinnamon at this time. It tastes really, really perfect right now. I'm going to go ahead and put it in a stock pot, bring that up to a quick simmer. You know, it'll percolate, bubble. Make sure when you do put it on the stove, put a lid on it, and when you go to stir it, take the lid off away from you so that when it bubbles up, it's almost like a lava bubbling up and it'll pop. And that will burn you. So make sure you're putting the pot away, the lid away from you as it goes, and then stir it down where it's going to keep on heating. Just because it's bubbling doesn't mean it's all hot all the way through. So those bubbles actually, like I said, can hurt. But that's butternut squash soup. It's super easy, and it's a quick dinner, and it's really good to use up some of those fall vegetables. I will see you on the next video. If you like seeing videos like this, please share it and hit the like button, and I will see you next time.